We have drafted and introduced a bill called the Heartbeat Bill, and it makes a life-saving stride in enshrining the rights of the unborn in U.S. law. And it ensures that no child for whom a heartbeat can be detected is aborted unless the life of the child's mother is endangered, and endangered in fact either due to a physical disorder, an illness, or an injury. And we place a penalty in that bill of up to 5 years for an abortionist who would violate this law. And the core tenet is this: if a heartbeat can be detected, the baby is protected. That's what we stand on here. Science has told us you can hear that beating heart, and we may well hear that in hearings as we go forward here in this Congress. But since 1973, we've seen between 59 and 60 million babies aborted. The richness of American life has been denied to them. The mothers that would have had children to raise, the fathers who were denied the opportunity to raise those children, the second and third generation are missing from our society today. Today, where you can look at a group of young people and say, look to your left and look to your right. If you don't see anybody sitting next to you, that's the ghost of the missing generations that would have otherwise been born. Human life is precious. It's sacred in all of its forms. This Heartbeat Bill articulates the preciousness of human life, and it gives us an opportunity to make the argument to the United States Congress, to the American people.
And that is that somehow the collective conscience of America is beginning to realize the humanity of these little babies and the inhumanity of what is being done to them. And when that happens, as it has so oftentimes in history, there's an epiphany, there's an awakening of our souls collectively, and we begin to turn in another direction. That certainly happened in the past with our African American brothers and sisters, and I believe that the same thing is beginning to happen today. The whole ideal of this country is that we hold certain truths to be self-evident, that all of us are created. All of us have the imago Dei, the image of God, stamped on our souls. And if we recognize that, then the rest of it gets pretty easy, and we shouldn't leave these, the least of our little brothers and sisters, out of that equation.
A civilization is judged by how it treated its most innocent, most insecure. That second most innocent, insecure group is our elderly. But the most innocent and insecure are our babies. And if they've got a heartbeat, just as you would know on any TV show, any emergency situation, if there's a heartbeat, there's life, there's human rights, there's civil rights, and that's what we're here about.
Our founding fathers, they knew that inherently, they knew that well, they enshrined it in our founding documents, that every life, every person has the right to life given to them, ordained to them by God. Not by this government, but by God. And so we are duty bound to do everything we can to protect those lives and to safeguard them and to make sure that they can live and breathe free and have their life, right? So that's why I'm here.
Before the Constitution itself and the Declaration, we have natural rights, the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And those are prioritized rights. The right to life supersedes liberty, and liberty supersedes pursuit of happiness. And that should be taught in every school in America, and this would be better understood.
And I've had the opportunity today to say I stand on the side of life, and I stand on the side of those who are most vulnerable, because I think it's needed. It's been said, but I'll say here, my own view is that we are miracles. We're precious. God has made us. We're made in the image of God. We all have we're all made uniquely special, and all should be given that opportunity to live up to those opportunities.
And now I get to introduce the driving force behind the Heartbeat Bill, and it's Janet Porter. Janet Porter's been involved in the pro-life movement for more than 2 decades, and the force that she was in laying the foundation for the ban on partial birth abortion began many years ago with Janet Porter seeing where to start that and how to develop that. And since that time, of all the things that Janet has done, she was successful in, again, being the driving force in passing a heartbeat bill through the state legislature in Ohio. And even though Governor Kasich vetoed that bill, the principles that succeeded in the House and in the Senate, and actually for a time had enough votes to overturn the veto of Governor Kasich, was driven by the driving force of the deep conviction and faith of Janet Porter. So she heads up Faith to Action, and as I say, her vision on this has gone on for years, but we're bringing it to Congress now, and I don't know that we would be doing that if it were not for Janet Porter. Janet?
Thank you, Congressman. I just want to say thank you to Congressman King, to my favorite congressman here. They're all here. This is so great. Congressman Franks, Congressman Gomert, Congressman Bacon Scott, we're so grateful that you're here, and to all the groups that stand with us. You're leading the charge to keep hearts beating. One of the members mentioned that we've all seen the bumper sticker, abortion stops a beating heart, but with the heartbeat bill, House Resolution 490, a beating heart will stop abortion. That's the good news. There is such great hope that we're not just going to be talking about whether we fund abortion or how much we regulate abortion. This bill will protect every child whose heartbeat can be heard. And it was just 4 days ago that I stood, as many of you did, on the other side of the Capitol, and we heard from President Trump. What President Donald Trump said is that we are going to make America safe again. The heartbeat bill is the first step to make America safe again for every child whose heartbeat can be heard.
We can all agree that every innocent life deserves to be protected. But for 44 years, too many lives, 60 million lives, have tragically ended before they could even take their first breath. 16 years ago, one of those lives was my child. These children are not statistics, they are lives. I applaud our representatives for fighting this good fight, for protecting every child's life from the moment her heartbeat can be heard, and in making America safe again for our unborn children.
Today we are making a great step forward in the name of justice. One of the measures of the justice of a nation is whether it protects everybody or if it has groups that are excluded and denied, in this case, the most fundamental right of all, which is the right not to be killed. The heartbeat bill says we're going to extend the borders of justice. We're going to protect everyone who has a heartbeat. And it's not perfect, but it's a huge and very important step in the right direction. And I'm glad to be part of it. And I have to also concur that Janet is the power pack behind all this. Of course, she'd say it's all coming from God, and say amen to that. But she's the instrument that's doing this, and more power to her. Thank you.
Phyllis Schlafly Eagles and the Eagle Forum Education and Legal Defense Fund wholeheartedly support this legislation. This law would protect untold thousands of babies each year whose beating hearts can be detected. We urge Congress to pass this bill and the Trump administration to sign it into law.
I'm just here as a witness against Roe. I'm here as a witness for all of the tens of the millions of women who have suffered from the pain and the devastation of abortion in their life. Had I heard my baby's heartbeat, I never would have had an abortion. The heartbeat shows us that it's the beginning of life. So let's make that life safe again, here and now. We ask and we pray that the Congress will pass this into law and stop the pain and the heartache for the women, the mothers in this country, and to protect the babies at heartbeat. Thank you so much.
It's a historic day today because we stand here at the U.S. Capitol to introduce the federal heartbeat bill. And we hope it doesn't take as long as it took in Ohio. But it's a new day in Washington. President Trump spoke the other day about American carnage. American carnage. And he talked about that being the unrealized human potential of a nation. I cannot think of anything more American carnage than the killing of a preborn baby. We at Created Equal stand behind this bill. We stand with Janet and the Congress, and we will work very, very hard to see this come to pass in the Congress and be signed by President Trump as soon as possible.
While the moment of conception is the beginning of our lives, the heartbeat is the universally recognized indicator of life. There's not a hospital in the world that doesn't recognize that if there's a beating heart, there's life.
When I got involved in the pro-life movement 44 years ago, there was a real argument on when life begins and was it even human. That argument has been settled. So here today, we invite our pro-choice friends, come out of the dark ages, the world is not flat, and let's work together toward protecting innocent human life and ending the violence of abortion.
I want to echo Janet's words, President Trump's words. We need to make America safe again. And we cannot do that unless we make the wombs of our moms safe again. Let's save babies' hearts from being exterminated and women's hearts from being broken. All pro-lifers should be willing to fight with Congressman King and all of our elected legislators to pass this legislation. Let us pass this bill now and make the wombs of our American women safe again and protect our babies from the extermination that we have so prevalent in this country.
We believe that human rights begin in the womb, and we also want to make America safe again for women. The majority of women who come to our clinics, when they meet with one of our nurses, when they get that opportunity to see or hear the heartbeat of their unborn child for the very first time, that is a game changer for a woman, because women inherently and instinctively know at that point that that is a human life. Over 90% of the women who come through our doors who see or hear the heartbeat of their baby end up carrying that baby to term.
We are women that have been hurt by abortion, and our written testimonies have been submitted as legal evidence to the courts and states all over this nation and the Supreme Court. So many of us were lied to about fetal development. We were not told that our children had a heartbeat already, and told that our children were blobs of tissue. So as representing the women of Operation Outcry, we do support the heartbeat bill. We want women to be safe and protected again, and we want our children to be protected also in the womb.
President Trump said we should be bold. We shouldn't be messing around the edges and talking about saving babies who are born alive. We shouldn't be talking about little things and little incremental steps. We should be bold and protect every embryo from the moment of conception. And that's where we're going with this bill. Let's go and protect every heartbeat so everybody that has a heartbeat is safe. Let's make America safe again.
We all know it's a scientific fact that life begins at conception, and this federal heartbeat bill shows everyone the humanity of the unborn child. At Students for Life, we support any legislation that would protect innocent human beings from the horror of abortion and make America safe again.